Welcome to the Bodhi Academy. In today's video, we will continue with the class 9 science chapter, that is improvement in food resources. So in the last class, we have learnt about the improvement in crop yields, about hybridization, and also some things about crop variety improvement. That is then we have also learnt crop production management, and in that we have learnt about nutrient management, how we have to supply the micro and macronutrients to the soil. So what happens if the plants lack in these nutrients? So what happens if the plants are not provided in with these macro and micronutrients? So the growth of plants or the crop could be reduced, right? If the plants do not get sufficient amount of nutrients, the growth will be reduced, and also they will be easily exposed to what? Easily exposed to diseases. Then another point is that the yield may be hampered. So the yield of crop will be reduced or hampered since the reproduction will be affected, right? So what happens if there is a lack in these nutrients? The growth of the crop will be reduced, and these crops will be easily exposed to the diseases, and then also the yield of crop will decrease as the reproduction will get affected due to lack in these nutrients. Now how do we supply or increase the yield by providing all these nutrients? So what do we do to provide nutrients to the plants? We have to provide the plants with substances like manures and fertilizers, right? So first, what is manure? It is a organic matter rich in different nutrients which we provide to the plant for their better growth. So manure is prepared by the decomposition of animal excreta and plant waste, okay, and it is also called as humus, right? It provides the plants with the humus rich in nutrients. It also decides the texture of soil, okay. The manure increases or it enhances the texture of soil. So manure is a source of organic matter. It supplies small quantities of nutrients, okay. It will supply nutrients in small quantities. Then it is prepared by the decomposition of animal excreta and plant waste, and then the soil also enhances due to manure, and it tends to hold more amount of water, okay. Now after the use of manure, the soil will be able to hold more amount of water, which is beneficial to the plants. Now there are various types of manure. The first is compost, okay. So what is composting? It is the process in which animal excreta like cow dung and all, kitchen waste, plant remains, waste food or sewage water etc. are decomposed in pits, okay. All these is put in a pit and it is decomposed, and then after decomposition it is used as manure, okay, and this is known as composting or compost. Then the second is vermicompost, okay. The compost prepared by using earthworms, okay. It is also a type of compost, but in this the earthworms are used. So the compost prepared using earthworms to hasten or to fasten the process of decomposition of plants and animal refuse is called as vermicompost. Okay, so earthworms are used in this process. Then the third type of manure is green manure. Now what happens in this? Sometimes specific plants are grown and then plowed again in the soil. So certain plants are grown on the farming land and they are then plowed again in the soil. Okay, so they are buried under the soil. Then these plants will decay and in turn into manure which will enrich the soil. Okay, so this will also turn into manure which will enrich the soil, and this mainly gives us nitrogen and phosphorus. And the plants which are used in such type of green manuring is hemp, clover, pea, grass mix, etc. Then another thing which we can, or another substance which we can use to provide nutrients to the soil is fertilizers. So we have heard about fertilizers and manures in lower class 2. So these fertilizers are artificial material that are produced in factories or on a commercial basis that ensure the nutrient benefits in soil. Now these see here, these fertilizers are prepared in factories and they are made up of chemical substances. Okay, then they have a large amounts of nutrients. Here the manure used to provide nutrients in small quantities, but the fertilizers will provide the nutrients in large amounts. Okay, so usually the fertilizers will have nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Okay, so NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Then these fertilizers are easily absorbed by the plant since they are soluble in water. Okay, so they will mix with the groundwater, they will and then they will be taken up by the plants. But these fertilizers are comparatively costly. Then the next process or the next step that we take in improving the crop production is irrigation. So irrigation, as we have learnt in the lower classes, is the process of supply of water to the crops. So it is a process of application of water in controlled amounts at regular intervals to the crops. Okay, the water should be provided in controlled amounts. Okay, only the sufficient amount of water should be provided, and it should be provided at regular intervals. Then irrigation methods are adopted at various places, especially in low rainfall areas, to ensure proper growth of crops. So in areas where there is low rainfall, various irrigation methods are adopted by the people. For example, some people or some farmers will use wells, the well water which is there, canals, tanks, or some will do the rainwater harvesting. Okay, when it rains, they will harvest the water, that means they will store the water and then they will use it later. So this is about harvesting. Then the last part, see here we have done manure, fertilizers and then irrigation. The last thing is the cropping patterns. Okay, so cropping patterns. Now different patterns or cropping patterns are used by farmers to maximize the production of cropping. Okay, so this is done to maximize or to increase the production of cropping. Now the first type is mixed cropping. What happens in this is growing two or more than two crops together on the same piece of land is called as mixed farming. Now here on a land there will be two types of crops which will be grown at the same time. Okay, for example, wheat and gram. Wheat and gram can be grown together. Then wheat and mustard, groundnut and sunflower. So like these two types of crops are grown together on the same piece of land. Then the next is intercropping. So in intercropping, two or more crops are grown in the same field in a definite pattern. Okay, so few rows of one followed by few rows of the other crop. So in this what happens is, suppose this is a piece of land, so few rows will be of one type of crop and then there will be few rows of the other type. Okay, so like this they will be arranged alternately. Then the next type is so here examples are soybean plus maize, finger millet, that is bajra, and cowpea. So these crops can be grown together in a definite pattern. Then the third type of cropping pattern is crop rotation. Now in this, crop rotation is a policy of growing different crops one after another on the same land. Okay, so what happens in this? If suppose one year the farmer is growing one type of crop, suppose wheat, the next year he will grow some leguminous plants such as groundnuts. Okay, so next year he will grow groundnuts on that same field. So what happens is that it is a policy of growing different crops one after another on the same field. If crop is grown again and again on the same field, the nutrients will get extracted from the soil again and again, and so there will be no nutrients left. So we should use or choose different crops so that all the nutrients of soil are used. Now what happens if every year he grows only wheat? Okay, so all the nutrients will be used up. But if one year he is using or he is planting wheat, and then the next year if he is planting a leguminous plant, okay, for example groundnut, then these leguminous plants have symbiotic relationship with the microorganisms which fix nitrogen in the soil. Okay, so this will fix nitrogen back into the soil, and it will again increase the fertility of the soil. Then in the next year he can again grow the wheat crop. So this is how, these are the cropping patterns which are used by the farmers. So we have completed up till here. This further part, animal husbandry, we'll see in the next class. So thank you for watching my video. Please like, share and subscribe to the Bodhi Academy.